everyone. I'm with Super Kalamazoo, and we really appreciate you all being here. And we have representatives here today from WWMT Channel 3, Fox 17, Wood TV 8, and MLive. Through the group here by saying your name and the organization that you're with, and then are you speaking?
Actually, Matt Huckabee is going to kick us off.
Then Matt will kick us off with a opening statement here for the group, and then we're going to go one by one, and they'll ask a question at a time. We'll keep just rotating through until questions are all asked. After the group setting, then we will allow for any one-on-one interviews. So please just stick around here afterwards too, to make sure that they can all get any additional, one-on-one interviews that they would seek out. And I think that covers it all. Any other questions here? Is everyone set up and good to go? Okay, perfect. Well, we'll start on the end here and just go through, say, your first and last name and the organization that you're representing.
Mark Olson with Athletic Mentors.
And I'm Kelly Felton from Greater Kalamazoo Skating Association.
Matt Kakeby, Kalamazoo Optimist Hockey Association.
Chris Reek, the Kalamazoo Curling Club.
Matt Schaefer, Hockey Services, Source for Hockey. Frank Noonan from the South Central High School Hockey League.
Jane Ghosh, Discover Kalamazoo.
My hair look great.
Good night.
Fabulous.
All right, Matt, over to you.
All right. Well, first, I'd like to thank you all for coming today. We appreciate the opportunity to address the community outreach that we've experienced over the last month or so. Additionally, I think it's important to recognize Mr. Parfait and his family and Mr. Johnston and his family for the decades of support they've given to the ICE user groups in this community. All of us are well respected amongst our national governing bodies. We're excited to work with Black Bear Sports Group moving forward to continue the decades of community involvement that each of our club has brought to the Kalamazoo area.
We'll kind of open up questions.
Yeah, I mean, just if you're able to talk about the feasibility study, I don't know which one of you is kind of best to do that, and just talk about kind of what things that you guys are looking into in the future when it comes to ice sports.
Okay, excellent. I'll take that. The intent of the feasibility study is to understand how much ice does the Kalamazoo community need, and what are the options for delivering that ice. What are the options of where to put it, how to structure it, how to use it, and what the economic, most importantly, kind of what the economic impact of that ice will be, so that we can figure out how to pay for it, basically. And I'm delighted to say that this group has come together so collaboratively to answer those questions together. Every group represented around this table, as well as Southwest Michigan First, and the Kalamazoo, the new authority that has been established to manage the new hotel assessment revenue. All groups have pitched in to fund the feasibility study, because we all want one answer. We want those questions to be answered in a united way.
What is the cost of the feasibility study?
$40,000.
Okay. And then do you believe that there's enough ice with Wings West coming back online to host all these organizations, including figure skating as well as curling, and everybody kind of once the Wings Event Center closes? Do you believe that that's enough ice? Are you guys looking at other opportunities?
Yeah.
So, the short answer is we don't know. That's what the feasibility study is intended to answer, is how much ice do we collectively need? Our initial thought is probably not, because as things stand today, there's 6 sheets of ice in the Kalamazoo community, and that ice is very busy many months of the year. And so we do believe that that's why we initiated the feasibility study. If we were confident that 4 sheets was enough, we wouldn't necessarily have done the feasibility study.
Thank you.
Do you mind laying out a little bit of a timeline? I know for the last couple of weeks, you've been meeting with a lot of different organizations, the heads of a lot of different youth organizations and sports organizations. I think that happened around late September is when these meetings really started. Can you lay out the timeline of also when did you folks start to know that Black Bear was interested in acquiring it? And I'll have a follow-up after that.
So as soon as it was announced that Greenleaf was planning to close Wings West permanently, we thought, these are the groups that are impacted the most. We needed to get together to start to talk about solutions. And so that's when these meetings began. And then in terms of knowing that Black Bear was a purchaser, it wasn't until the press release came out that we knew for sure who the buyer was going to be.
Gotcha. And that kind of leads into my follow-up question. It sounds, I'm assuming that up until that press release came out that Black Bear was going to be purchasing Wings West, it felt like you folks were starting from the ground up, as in, we don't have any ice specifically that we know of. We're going to have to make this feasibility study again to figure out all of our needs. And then from there, we can use that to essentially create a plan of attack as to how do we address this issue. With Black Bear now acquiring Wings West, and we have the anticipation of it opening up for the 2026 season, I'm sure this kind of changes the scope of the feasibility study, does it?
I think it changes, it's just one of the scenarios that we had envisioned all along for the feasibility study. So as we go through this, we'll be looking at what are all the potential scenarios. Reopening Wings West, was always a scenario that we would have expected the feasibility study to envision. Expanding Wings West, building additional ice elsewhere. I mean, these are all scenarios that we want to look at to understand, again, how much ice do we need? Where should we put it? Are going to be key questions that the feasibility study answers.
And I think a good question from the room is there a feeling of levity now that there's some type of light on the horizon?
Yeah, I think, yes, there is. I mean, we're excited. We would look forward to Black Bear coming in. However, we're all the user groups together are utilizing ice wherever we can get it. We're skating, high school skating out of both Western Michigan Lawson Ice Arena as well as Wings Event Center. KOHA skating out of Battle Creek, bought ice there. The only ones that really impact totally, and GKSA is also skating out of the Wings Event Center with enough ice. The ones that don't have any ice is the curling club. They don't have anywhere to go.
That was going to be my next question. Curling's a real destination here in Kalamazoo. I think about when we try to go to do our stories up in Grand Rapids, we are always coming to Kalamazoo to talk about curling. Can you talk about that law specifically and what you're hoping to gain?
Well, for us, we have no ice. And so we have had to we are currently looking in Fort Wayne, Grand Rapids, Traverse City, Bowling Green to curl because there's no ice available to us currently. We're hoping, based on the feasibility study, that will show us that there's a need for us to have our own ice to go forward. With Black Bear opening, we're uncertain what's going to happen. Maybe we could have Wings Event Center back, but we're just not certain what the future will hold and the timeline. But the feasibility study will definitely give some information for us.
What's the timeline of that study? How long do you anticipate this to go?
So we've commissioned it. We've given the go-ahead to start the study, and it's a 10 to 12 week time frame.
You said 10 to 12 weeks? Okay, thank you.
When was that green light given for
Monday, I think. Is that right? Yeah, Monday.
Oh.
Last Monday.
And remind me, who's funding this again?
All the groups around the table, so which you know the list of the groups, and then Southwest Michigan First, and the Kalamazoo County Event Center Assessment District Authority Board, which is the
A mouthful.
we're calling it the Casey CAD Authority.
Okay.
So that is the assessment district that was created with the new incremental hotel assessment.
And this might be a premature question as far as that's concerned, but what's the likelihood that that's what's going to wind up funding anything new in the community?
The first priority for that assessment district is not changing. That remains the indoor hard court facility that is currently being worked on. I think what changes is what are the possibilities for the next priority. Because when we did the feasibility study that resulted in the indoor hard court facility, we assumed a certain amount of ice availability in the community, and then that has now changed. And so now that circumstances have changed, we need to get the updated, up-to-date data and then make the right decisions going on.
And is there a possibility that those two projects could be happening simultaneously? Obviously, Wings Event Center is scheduled to be decommissioned in a couple of years where, yes, this Black Bear news is great news, specifically probably for high school hockey more than anything. But, talking with Arlene the other day, it sounds like there's no guarantee that curling's going to even be able to go back to Wings Event Center for the next 2 years before that closes.
So I think it's premature to answer that question about the timing. That's why we're doing the feasibility study. So when we have the feasibility study done, then we'll figure out kind of where to go from there.
I want to talk about the Wings West news. How out of left field did that come with the equipment failure? I mean, or was it anticipated for a while that this is an aging facility and we might need to do some repairs?
Well, I think it may be an aging facility in the fact that it's 20 plus years old, but it's a fantastic facility that's hosted, United States or USA Hockey national championships. GKSA's hosted numerous U.S. figure skating national championships, sectionals. So it was highly functional for our community. Greenleaf had, as recently this summer, had been investing in that facility, paint, rubber mats, tiles in the showers. So it's aged very well. So we're just excited that GKSA and Koha and high school and Mark can train his athletes and Matt can sell his equipment back at Wings West because as user groups and as tenants of that facility, we're all a very positive and highly functional group of nonprofits and youth sport entities.
Thank you.
I think you talked about this with the feasibility study, kind of looking into this, but when it comes to figure skating at Wings West, do you believe that they're able to host those national competitions that you guys were hosting before at the Wings Event Center? Is that something that's being looked into within the study?
I believe it's something the feasibility study will make a determination of. Where I think all of our individual clubs are very highly regarded by all of the national organizations that we represent. And we all are given many opportunities to host these things. And we've had the ice in the past. And it brings tons of revenue to the community, hotels, restaurants, shops.
I was just going to say it's a huge economic driver.
Huge economic driver. And so we're hoping that we can, through the feasibility study, find a way to make that continue.
She says with a smile.
We all say that with a smile. We all say that.
I mean, there are not a lot of communities like Kalamazoo which have such a phenomenal reputation with these national organizing bodies, these national governing bodies like USA Figure Skating and US Hockey. The reason for that, one of the reasons for that great reputation is the strength of these user groups, sitting here. Those events, when we've hosted the hockey national, U14 national tournament, like without the strength of Koha, Kalamazoo could not have hosted that event and gotten in those thousands of room nights and those, $1 million of more than $1 million of economic impact. It's because of the strength of these groups here.
I want to talk to the pro shops. I mean, there are only so many places in Kalamazoo where you can go try out a hockey stick, get your hands on those kind of materials. Why is it important for you guys to kind of have your space sacred in a way?
Well, I mean, it's concerning if the ICE user groups diminish. I mean, that's one thing that the feasibility study also wants. We're concerned about potential leakage going to other organizations or other communities. So it's important to keep ICE in Kalamazoo for sure. And it's something, it really concerns us. I mean, we have a really niche market with only helping hockey and ICE sports user groups, and without more ice, we have a lot of concern. So the feasibility study will hopefully show that, and we can continue to grow with the ice user groups.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Question for athletic mentors. I heard a lot of from folks in the skating community that they really missed going out to the space that is over at Wings West, getting that training that's off the ice as well. How have you folks been able to manage kind of the space in between after Wings closed, and just what do you anticipate to come back into Wings West once Black Bear takes over?
So yeah, we've had to pivot a little bit, obviously. So we're doing some of the training we've moved over to the event center. And then we've opened up more opportunities at our other facilities. We have our own facilities as well outside of the ice rink. So we've been trying to get everyone opportunities in as many places as possible to get through this next year. We're, like everyone else, looking forward to sitting down with Black Bear and seeing what the future is going to bring. We'd obviously love to stay in Wings West because we literally work with everyone in this group and have for 20 plus years. So we're excited to see where this is going to go, and hopefully it's going to continue to grow and help all these people stay on the ice and bring more ice sheets as well to the area.
And how has the line of communication been with Black Bear within this last week? Have they been pretty open? Have they reached out to any folks individually to ask, what does your user group need for the 2026 season?
Yeah. So I've spoken to representatives from Black Bear twice over the past week. The plan to be on site late next week, and hopefully at that time we'll have the opportunity for all the user groups to have some FaceTime and discuss what the future looks like, and start building that relationship and that partnership for the Kalamazoo community.
Did I hear that correctly, that you've got Kohai athletes going to Battle Creek?
That's correct.
How, these are, I met one of your athletes in my neighborhood. That's how I found him. The story actually stopped his car because he had a bumper sticker on. So I'm wondering, how much is it a burden for these teenagers, 16 years old, to kind of go, good 20 miles down 94 to play their sport?
Yeah. So probably not much of a burden for mom and dad for the 16 and 18 team. Those kids can drive themselves. But, for our younger families, obviously, in our travel world, those families are used to putting thousands of miles on their cars. So, would they like to be playing at Wings West? Absolutely. We look forward to getting back there next year. But in the meantime, we have strong partnerships around Koha. So working with the Battle Creek Ice Rink and booking ice there, working with our friends down in Berrien and scheduling some games down there in St. Joe. Fox Motorsports is their youth programs at Southside. They've been fantastic with us, offering us ice on weekends to fit in game time. So you got to recognize we compete on the ice, but clubs are collectively connected. And when things like this happen, all of our friends reach out and throw us a lifeline.
That's neat.
Can someone kind of talk a little bit about just how you all came together, in the sense that, 2 sheets of ice, we all know it's not enough. There is no secret, really, in the ice community, at least, that Wings Event Center was going to be going offline in a couple of years. But all of a sudden, when the announcement came that Wings West was going to close this summer, the whole community kind of sat there and went, oh my goodness, we might have 0 sheets of ice outside of like what Western's using and the K-Wings are using. So can you kind of talk about just like that urgency and just how much that accelerated?
I think it's actually a great story, because this group immediately came together to try to find solutions and figure out, how can we move forward in a collaboratively and solutions oriented to get the outcome that we want for Kalamazoo County. There's no point kind of complaining over what the reality is. What do we want the future to be, and how are we going to get there? And everyone immediately came together around the table to work together to figure it out.
Would you say it was like a blessing in disguise a little bit? Because
I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
I do. I mean, it's an opportunity for us all to get together and become one cohesive team to make this work.
The other thing everyone should know is everyone in this sitting here, like, we've known each other for many, many years. We've all worked together for a long time. So it's It's not like it's a bunch of strangers. And that's another thing about Kalamazoo, I think. You know, it's a tight knit community, and I think we were instantly within a week we were sitting down talking about what the future.
I mean, were there already conversations kind of starting though, knowing that Wings Event Center was going to go down?
Not
or,
really.
We thought we had a few more years.
Yeah.
If you had to guess between your respective organizations, and you don't have to quote me on this, how many people were actually impacted who play your ice sports, who go to your facilities? If you had to give a rough estimate of how many people in Kalamazoo, were impacted by this closure, in thousands?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Sure.
Easily.
Yeah.
Easily.
And if I can actually build on that, when these groups bring in these national tournaments and international tournaments, it impacts, I would say, tens of thousands of people across the Kalamazoo community. We recently got the data on the 2024 visitor spending in Kalamazoo County.
Mhm.
So, sports tourism is only one portion of that, but visitor spending in Kalamazoo County directly supports 7,600 jobs. So 7,600 of our community members, have jobs and support their families because of visitors coming into our community. And these ice sports are one key source of that visitation.
Perfect. Thanks. That provides some good perspective, I think.
Any additional questions for the group?
Nope.
Okay, thank you. Then, we don't have to be. Please stick around in the area. And I'll just-
Where are we able to do interviews? Just right here, or could we go down and kind of get
We could.
quiet?
Oh, no, that's all right.
I'm autumn. I don't think you've ever. Do you mind if I grab you?